Hello, people. This is the Renaissance Show 2.0. Today I'm with Mr. Tel. I'm Brother Ezekiel, and we're gonna talk about the Iranian and energy policies with regarding the EU. Tell me about something.
Yeah,
What is going on exactly?
like I told you, I my master thesis was about the Iranian gas relationship with the EU. As you know, Iran shares a huge gas field with Qatar in the
Okay,
Persian Gulf.
that's very interesting.
It's not their only energy field, but it's a huge energy field. The field that they share with Qatar and Iran has a lot of natural gas resources and also a lot
Hmm.
of oil resources. And during the Obama administration, Iran, they called it the Joint Administration. They have a lot of natural resources, and they have been punished sometimes in the forms of sanctions towards the Western world.
Okay, what
I'm sorry.
no problem. What I'd like to know is why did Trump not go ahead with the relationships built up by the Obama
That's a
administration?
good question because according to Trump, Iran would have been enabled to get nuclear weapons through this agreement.
Okay,
According to the Trump administration, this that agreement was too beneficial to Iran.
so you
Too
you
beneficial.
you mean in regarding of the money that
Yeah,
they could take with
yeah.
selling this gas to the EU?
Well, he said in his words that Iran will be a nuclear power through this agreement. According to him, it was too soft. He claimed that during the Obama administration, I don't know whether it's true,
Mm.
that an airplane full with cash money was sent to Iran.
Wow. Okay, that's impressive.
Yeah, and but okay. Anyway, Iran has a certain state ideology. They call it the resistance economy.
Hmm.
Iran only exports and trade in energy according to this resistance economy ideology. And what I found out during my research on the Iranian energy policy
Hmm.
is that Iran only want to export liquefied natural gas to the Western world because it offers flexibility, and Iran prefers the export of piped gas to, for example, Asian countries
Hmm.
because for pipelines you need a long-term cooperation with other countries.
Okay, why can Iran build pipelines to Europe?
Why not? You mean?
Why not?
Why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why is it for Iran more easily to make long-term corporations or corporate working together with other Asian countries, but not with the EU, for example?
So, like I said, Iran suffered many very much under Western sanctions, and they cannot afford financially to invest very much money in pipelines to the West,
Hmm.
and then being sanctioned every 2 years or every 3 years.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's too risky for them, and that's why I found out. I ascertained that they prefer the export of liquefied natural gas to European countries.
Is that because they are countries on the route that they are not very happy when this pipeline will be built? Are they countries blocking the pipeline route to
That's a good
Europe?
question. That's a good question. I cannot answer that with 100% certainty, but I can imagine that the United States wouldn't be happy if Iran would export piped gas to Europe. We saw during the Trump administration
Hmm.
that Trump wasn't happy with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline.
Okay, and this pipeline is the pipeline from Russia to Germany, if I'm
Yes.
correct.
So if the United States wasn't happy with the import of piped Russian gas to Europe because they want to export gas themselves to Europe, then I can also imagine that the United States would block the export of piped Iranian gas to Europe. I can't, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not only about the fact that Iran can be a nuclear powerhouse, but it's also there's another aspect here. That's the aspect of that the US also wants to export liquefied gas to
Yeah,
Europe.
but what was that? Can you also perhaps remember that during the Trump administration that the United States was energy independent?
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know which policies did he change that became US that US became an energy independent. What in regarding to especially oil.
Yeah. So yeah, so Iran has its state ideology. You cannot classify Iran as a free market country.
Hmm.
I mean, the clergy, the religious part of the government is very important there,
Mm.
and the like I said, the export of their energy must be in accordance with their resistance economy. And Iran is thinking in that sense very strategically and very carefully. And they don't. What I found out is they don't only look to the aspect of money
Mm.
and profit, but they want to preserve their national identity and the state ideology on the long term. So that's why it must be in accordance with the resistance economy.
Because I also heard that they are blocked or almost blocked to use the international money system.
That's a good thing. Nowadays, I haven't heard much about that. I guess that Iran hasn't been excluded from that.
Not.
Not, I
Okay.
guess. But I can imagine that with Agenda 2030 and with the Green New Deal, that Iran is looking and orienting very much to Asia, to the Asian
It wouldn't
countries.
surprise me because a country like China, I think China is a country that doesn't matter that much. It's more about I want your oil and gas, how much is the price? But which other countries are there that would be very interesting in just buying oil and gas from Iran, without taking in mind that they are afraid that it
Yeah.
becomes a nuclear power?
Yeah, so for example, Turkmenistan has very much gas, and also Azerbaijan. What I want to say is, so there is competition for the export of gas in Asia, and Russia also.
Exactly, exactly.
So what I don't exactly know is what this competition means for Iran. Um, maybe, yeah, yeah, so you have the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO, the Shanghai.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly also what that means for what that influence is for Iran. Yeah, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is an Asian cooperation. Russia is part of that. Um, that has much, perhaps its influence. You have India as a very big country. We don't know what the cooperation will be between Iran and India in the near future.
Mm.
So maybe we don't only have to look at China. India is also a very huge emerging market.
To Totally, also because of its big population, it's I think also has a future to becoming a bigger inside market for India itself. But I think the biggest problem of Iran is exactly the nuclear option that they can have because they have the technology to do that.
They have the technology to do this.
Yes, yes. And there is another a key factor here, and that's Israel.
Yes.
Israel is also a major factor that it doesn't want that Iran exploits this technology. So one can also say if Iran didn't want to exploit this technology, it would for them be much easier to do business with the rest of the world,
Yes. Yeah.
especially the countries where all the industry is. So yeah, that's the Western world and also emerging countries like in India and China is already heading to be a first country in the world. It really is already, but
So, what is also interesting for the near future is that China is building a huge, how is it said in English, haven,
port,
port,
seaport.
seaport. China is building a huge seaport in Pakistan.
What's the name of this port?
Um, Perhaps the name is Char Bahar for springs, or maybe that's the name of the port that is built in Iran. India is building a very huge port in Iran also. So you have these two different ports which are competitioning with each other.
If I'm correct, what I know is that India is building a big port together with the Iranian government in Iran, and China is building a big port with cooperation Pakistan.
Yeah, because if you imagine it, if you see the countries in front of you,
Hmm.
through Pakistan and through this port, uh, China will be enabled to export to transport those goods through Pakistan to the north, and then you will access the Uyghur area of Western China,
But I think also it's very
The Xinjiang region.
aha. It's also interesting that through that port, if Iran puts that liquefied gas and oil with ships out of the Strait of Hormuz and then transports to the port, let's say in Pakistan, from there, from pipeline or other means of transportation, it also go through China to China
Yeah,
without going through the Strait of Malacca.
yeah. So
So
it would reduce China's vulnerability.
it would be also much easier for Iran to export its products.
Yeah. So well, what we have to focus on, with regard to world politics, is also the relationship between Iran and India, and the relationship between Iran and China, because I guess this is also very important within the because you have two superpowers. India and China are competitioning with each other
Mm, mm.
for resources, also for energy.
Yes, exactly. And you got the third one, Russia, but I know what you mean. For consumption, it's India and China. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think for Iran, what you already mentioned before, Iran has its trump cards more set on Asia, because I think these countries are much able
Yeah.
to accept Iran, maybe also as a nuclear power
Yes.
than the West.
Like my teacher said, China is very unlikely to stop importing Iranian gas because of a human rights issue. While in the EU, human rights that are mentioned in connection with those sanctions. So what I read during the master thesis, what my
Mm.
observation was, is that China and Asia as a whole is much more a reliable partner to Iran than the Western world.
I think also, yes. Maybe they don't won't be so happy that Iran can build atom bombs, but I think they can accept it more than, for example, the West that
Yeah.
makes a really a point to getting rid of this capacity that Iran can have.
So, brother Hezekiah, so to speak, we have spoken 15 minutes. Shall we continue a little bit or
Um,
not? What's
Well,
your
I think we have talked mainly
yeah about the headlines? Yeah,
about what is going on.
yeah,
So in regard of this, I thank you for this conversation, and
Thank you. You also
until
thank.
the next time,
See you next time.
have a nice day, folks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.